Hello YouTube, it is Championdjk coming at you again with another video, and today we are just going to open up some random older Hot Wheels. Why? Because I've been sitting on these for a long time, and it's like, I like old Hot Wheels, I dig them. They're cool, I guess, to see the card art and stuff like that, but you guys know I'm not a carded collector, and I just need to join these with my other bit of my collection. You can't put the stuff that's off the card that you find mint back on the card, and oftentimes when I'm finding older Hot Wheels that are in good condition, I'm getting them loose because they are much cheaper to purchase loose. These I happen to have carded, and I've had for a long time. And the cards are pretty crispy on some of these, but I'm sorry about that. We are going to open them up, and, some of it's not worth much or anything. This Pepsi one might be worth something, who knows, but we're going to open this stuff up. We're going to crack them open, so don't cry about it if you're a carded collector. I apologize. We also got some weird stuff here. We've got some toothpaste that we're going to look at. We're going to brush our teeth with this. No, I'm just kidding. I am not going to do that. Actually, maybe we'll open this thing first. No, we won't. We won't open that first. What should we open first? Let's start with some Mazda Miatas. So I grabbed out, I have a bunch of these Miatas for whatever reason. I liked this casting when I was a kid. Well, that's why you open them up. And this thing just basically fell off the card. So we're going to open up some Miatas. This particular MX5 Miata looks like I bought for $4 maybe. Copyright date is 1991 on the card. That really doesn't tell us much with these. So I don't know what year this came out. So whoever's the Hot Wheel expert, you can just pull up a Hot Wheels wiki. Check each variation and when it came out. You can do that if you want. So this casting is metal on metal. It's kind of got an inserted detail for a head, or, not a headlight, but because this thing had pop up and down headlights. But this window piece, I believe, makes up those little lights up there. Axle's a little bit long here, both sides. It's a little goofy. That tire pops out quite a bit, or wheel. Not much for detail there. It's a Hot Wheels. It's an older one. Mazda Miata. Kind of a hot casting when this originally came out. The Miata was kind of cool. So yeah, the Extreme Speed Series Mazda MX5 Miata. Copyright date on the back of this packaging is 1998. Again, that might be close to when this came out, probably 99 maybe, this particular model. But we're going to start with these Miatas and we're going to get into the older stuff. So, yeah, that is just wakeboarding. If you like wakeboarding and Miatas, there you go. Green interior, nothing real special about that one, but there you go. Here's another variation, I guess, of this one. This one with the 7-spoke wheels. Same vehicle. They used to do tons of this. They'd have tons of different wheel variations. By the way, Hot Wheels has it all. Cool paint jobs, hot colors, new models, and old favorites. And, some cool fantasy castings, too. Little Mattel guy. This is 1991 is the copyright date. And again, it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. So this one, you can look at the copyright date of it. One thing you can do is look at the copyright date of the casting, which is 1990 on this particular model. So that gives you an idea of when the casting was first tooled. Okay, it doesn't tell you what the release is, but it tells you kind of an idea of when the tooling happened, and we're going to say 1990 is when this tooling was developed, which means the first year might have been 1991. Might have been 1990, but usually it takes about a year. So 1991 is what we're going to say from licensing to packaging, but that's nowadays standards, not always the case, but pretty typical. This, I think, is like the first release of it, maybe. 79 cents at Kmart. You see, the pricing really hasn't gone up much. Looks like I paid, I think, $5 for this one. And copyright date's 1990. This is probably the first release of this. I'm thinking that it is. And we'll open that up. Check it out. Miata. Very cool. Nice minty blister pull of this car. I'm surprised I didn't actually have this one loose already, but I guess I did not. I had it when I was a kid. I know that. I know that's factual. So whatever, I don't know where that model went, but pretty cool. Get that one. I mean, the casting's not the greatest. But it's, you know, of the time, right? Do we have any others? We do. We've got a couple more here. Another one with hot colors. There you go. Join the Hot Wheels Speed Points Club. And check that out. Just, you know, that's one really cool thing, Hot Wheels Matchbox. Hot Wheels more so than Matchbox, I would argue. Just been really such a hot toy or hot collectible for the longest amount of time. Matchbox, you know, obviously predates Hot Wheels, but I would argue in popularity, nothing's more popular, at least in the US, than Hot Wheels, right? And these older Hot Wheels, even though these toolings aren't the best representation of a car, they're not the most accurate, but they are charming. And especially when, you know, if you're my age or something and you grew up with, in any era, really, of Hot Wheels, like the old school stuff, this stuff you just really like. So quite fantastic there. Digging that. That's pretty awesome. And then we got this guy with these cool yellow wheels. Open up that. And check that out. So that's a wheel variation of this one, this other one. And it's got neon yellow wheels. Again, I don't know exactly what year this particular variation came out in, but you can look it up on Hot Wheels Wiki, which is not always accurate, but it's a pretty good resource. Or there was that South Texas Diecast page. I think that's still active. You can look it up there. Fun page to peruse. But yeah, you know, so 90s, early 90s stuff with this fluorescent color, neon colors, and all that craziness. My favorite one, I'm going to say out of this little group, is definitely the original red one. I think this is the original one to come out. And it's pretty cool. So check that out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Miatas to take a peek at. That's pretty nice. Let's go into this one right here. This is a Lotus Esprit. Nice casting. I really want to see a Lotus Esprit come out in a mini GP. This particular model. Shinobi is on the graphic. This is in the Sega series, the Sega Genesis. Very cool. This copyright, we don't need a copyright date on this one. It tells you 2003 is when that came out. Honestly, no, not Genesis then, right? That would have been like, what are they trying to get at? Would that be Sega Saturn maybe? Or what was the Sega system? Dreamcast? In 2003? It wouldn't be I don't know. That seems weird. 2003 would it have been Saturn? Would have been the latest, or Dreamcast? Probably Dreamcast, right? I think. I don't really remember. I mean, I had a Sega Genesis. I never had a Sega system after that. Wanted Sega CD when I was a kid, but, you know, in hindsight, kind of glad I never got one. But yeah, pretty neat. Pretty neat tooling. The only reason why I picked this one out to open is because I got this one to open. And check that out. Hot Wheels used to really care about kids and what they were doing. They have reading material, encourage you to brush your teeth. Look at that. And pretty awesome. They don't really do anything like this anymore, but they used to do this kind of stuff all the time. Street Speed. Text by Len Karsner. I don't know who that is. We've got contents in a table and different castings, I'm guessing, and it's going to tell us about the actual vehicle. So this is kind of a neat little book, I guess. What makes a sports car, you know? Pretty cool. So BMW M1, and then it shows you the Hot Wheels version of it. BMW M1, which is the Hot Wheels wind splitter. Chevy Corvette. You know, tells you when the car was first released. Yeah, and so on and so forth. It's actually quite a lengthy book. There's the Countach. There's the Diablo. I'm liking that. There's your Lotus Esprit. The Royal Flash. I've got versions of that as well. here's our Lotus Esprit right here, the black one, and that's what's on the card right here. So, little book. Look at this. This was such an ugly version of this car. The Nissan 300ZX, which I like that car, but anyway. Whoa. All right. Opening up the book. And check that out. So here is the vehicle. Nice little clean Lotus Esprit model. The wing is plastic on these. Plastic base. Metal body. You know, not a bad like 1/64 scale version of this car. And I would guess it's not that far off from being 1/64 scale. It's probably pretty close. It's a casting I collect, though. I don't even know. I have to figure out what variations I'm missing, but probably not that many, because I don't think they came out with that many of these. Yeah, but a few of them are like goofy looking like this. But pretty neat. Anyway, you know, digging this one. Just in plain black. That's pretty cool. All right, then we're going to get into some older stuff. I mean, we're going to save the toothpaste, I think, for last, just to get this other stuff out of the way. Let's start with the Peterbilt dump truck from Workhorses. This was a new model for 1989. Okay, so it's not that old, right? I mean, it's old, but in Hot Wheels years or whatever, it's not that terribly old. I mean, this looks older than 89. The packaging kind of does, but it's not. So 1989 Peterbilt dump truck. This is all metal, made in Malaysia. I believe this articulates, and it does. Look at that. So this is a sandbox toy right here, right? Kids are probably digging this. And a lot of these probably died in the sandbox. But it's heavy, all metal except for the dump trailer. That is plastic. The rest of it is all metal. It's got a domed rivet, which you know it's an old casting from that. Is there a copyright date of the casting? 1979. That tells you when the tooling was developed, right? So this isn't from 79. We know this is from 89, 10 years later, but the tooling was developed in 79. The original tooling may have had a metal dump trailer. I don't know. I don't think I have any. Probably didn't. It was probably plastic, but check that out. That's cool. I mean, it's kind of a piece of Hot Wheels history in a way. It's not a very popular tooling, but there you go. Wonderbread. Wonder Hostess Twinkies delivery truck. This one is also from 1989. In the 1989 Collector Series. And here's our Wonderbread delivery truck. The back opens, but I am hesitant to actually open it. I'm going to leave it shut. The reason why is it's plastic, and I'm afraid it's going to be brittle, or if I open it, it's not going to shut tight like it is now. And so we're just going to leave it alone. That's fine. Trust me, I don't think there's anything very interesting to look at inside of there, so there you go. This copyright date of this casting is 1976. So it's an old tooling truck. But this is the 1989 flavor of it. Very cool. So I love old Hot Wheels. I really, really do. And it's cool to get them in like minty condition. It's fun. Even something like this, the GT Racer, which is not a, not a real car. It's a fantasy car. This happens to also be from 1989. I think I was trying to get 10 cars from 1989 to do a 10 Car Tuesday episode a while back, and that's why I hung on to these for so long. But let's open this one up. This is in the Hot Wheels Speed Fleet, 1989. It's got the Ultra Hot Wheels, which if you're a fan of the channel, you may or may not know that I enjoy those wheels. Those are the wheels of my childhood, really. Because they came out on the Countach and the Testarossa and all that. This casting appears to have been designed in 1988, so it would have been the year before. This is a new model. I could have told you that, right? Because it says right on here, new model. But so did the Peterbilt, didn't it? So whatever. I guess we can take that with a grain of salt. But it was new because it had the plastic bin. That could be. I don't know. It's a purple number 5 GT looking race car. And yeah, it's just whatever. It's kind of cool. It's all metal. That's great. This is plastic, of course, but the rest of it's metal. Ultra Hot Wheels. I like it, okay? I like it. All right, next is the Highway Hauler. This is kind of a popular casting, or at least it was. People were collecting these. This is also from 1989. Again, the casting, of course, very much predates it. It's got Pepsi livery. So, look at that. Or it's a Pepsi truck, which is pretty awesome. Cab over design. Again, this opens, but we are not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it shut. So sorry about that. Copyright date, 1979 on the bottom of that bad boy. It's funny when you hear people that don't know anything about Hot Wheels and they'll find something at like a thrift store and like, oh, this is from 1979. Well, no, that's when it was tooled. It's not that old. I mean, from 1989, it's still old, this particular model, but not that old. Kind of an interesting design for this because the truck itself is like that. And then it's all metal, and this is plastic, and the back axle is plastic. So actually often, in this case, the back axle doesn't even touch the ground. Which is kind of funny. So I think that's pretty typical for these. I think this actually, if you mess with this, I think you can pop this off entirely. But we're not going to do that, obviously. But very cool Pepsi truck. Digging that one. Highway Hauler. Nice old Hot Wheels. I think it's cool. I think it's pretty awesome. And, you know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. All right, another cool one. Old one. Hot Wheels Classics. The Telbot Logo. This one is from... Copyright date on the packaging is 1986, but I don't think it's that old. This says available summer, fall 1988. So that's probably it. So here's the Telbot Logo. Kind of a cool casting. I had one of these as a kid as well. 1987 is the copyright date of the casting, so we're going to say 88 is probably when this was released as a newer model. Rolls real nice. Again, it's heavy. It's metal on metal. That's plastic in the front there, that chrome. White-walled basic wheels. Kind of a cool car. See, these are just, they're cool. They're charming. I love old Hot Wheels. I really do. I like them. I love the new stuff. I mean, I like all 1/64 die-cast. Who am I kidding? But getting some of these old ones in really nice condition. I'm kind of glad I hung on to them this long just to enjoy them today. All right, 1989 again. We've got the XT3, which I believe is a fantasy casting. Funny thing is, like, I don't even care, like, for the old stuff, I don't care if it's like a real car or not. Like, I'll still like grab it if it's, you know, mint condition and it's old. I don't really collect play-worn stuff very much just because I don't have room really in my collection. Unless it's something really special, then I will. Or something really hard to find where I need a placeholder. Copyright date of this casting now is 1984. We know this particular one came out in 89. Check out that thing. That'd be a whole lot of engines sitting behind you right up here in the front. Pretty nifty, right? Interesting design. Like even the Hot Wheels like fantasy castings back in the day kind of had just a cool, you know, period look to them. And these two are kind of a neat little pair. It's just, they were neat. They're probably neat nowadays, and maybe we'll look back, you know, later on and be like, oh, some of those fantasy castings are really cool. Nowadays, they kind of look more goofy. This looks more, I don't know, has a darker tone to the design, I guess, if that's a way to say it. I don't really know, but you guys let me know what you think. All right, new model for 1989, the Pontiac Banshee. I loved this car, this casting when it came out. And I had it, believe me, I had one. I had maybe two. After one got chipped up, I'd got another one. But I absolutely loved the Pontiac Banshee when this thing was released. I thought this thing was super cool. And this is a concept car, of course, from Pontiac that never saw the light of day. Kind of became like the newer Firebird. So copyright 1989. Ultra Hot Wheels. So the Firebird that came out eventually after this was sort of designed after this, I believe. Some aficionado of vehicles that knows more than me. I just, I remember a couple of things here and there. That's my knowledge base. But, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a cool design. Again, very correct for, like, the time. But everything looked a little edgier, a little darker toned. Like, design just looked a little bit more, I don't know, mean than what it does now. Now it looks more robotic. When you're kind of looking darker, this had more of like I don't know how to explain it. And I'm not normally trying to explain to you art, so I don't, and I'm by no means an expert whatsoever. I do appreciate quite a bit, but I'm no means an expert but just there's something about, like even movies and stuff from that area that depicted the future, the dark bleakness of it, kind of a darker tone to the design. Whatever. You guys can take that for what you want. All right. Let's get into some toothpaste. Aquaresh for kids. Free. New triple protection. Free Hot Wheels with this purchase. Would you just do this again? This would be so much cool. This would be so cool. All right. Here's the toothpaste. And I'm sure this was originally, the Aquaresh white, green, and it might still be. When did this expire? Does it have an expiration date on it? It's for best results, screwed from the bottom. This is bubble mint flavor. This fights, it's ADA accepted, fights cavities. It's got fluoride in it, of course. Fights cavities, freshens breath, helps remove plaque with a taste kids prefer. Does this not have it? Maybe it doesn't have it on this. Maybe it has it on the box. Is there an expiration date on here anywhere? I don't really see it. There's the ingredients of it. Lots of stuff in there. Copyright date 1993, and that's probably about when this came out, I assume. There's a couple different cars you could get with the Aquaresh toothpaste. This is the Toyota MR2. Pretty cool. And I got this from my buddy Jay. The packaging is just very much appropriate for that. 92, 93, whatever. It's pretty cool. Yeah, like it. Freshens. I wish I could find an expiration date. I'm curious when this actually expired. Should we open this? I'm going to go with no. This is probably just going to end up in the garbage. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to hang onto this old Aquaresh toothpaste. Unless somebody really wants it or something, I'll ship it to you maybe. Or I'll sell it to you. I'm not going to ship it to you because, whatever. You're going to pay me for my time, I guess, because otherwise this is going to the garbage. All right. MR2, Toyota. I collect this casting. It's cool. It's pretty awesome. And that's going to be it for this video. But let me know what you think. Old Hot Wheels. You dig them? You dig old Hot Wheels like this? I know this isn't like super old. It's not Redline era. I don't collect really anything from the Redline era. Obviously, if I stumbled across a bunch or something like that for cheap, maybe I would think about getting them. But they're often faked and, are restored and then hidden that they were restored. And I don't really... My era is Blackwall into the early 90s. So from Blackwall into the early 90s, or even the red lines that were enamel painted, into the early 90s, and then, we take a break for a while when they got real goofy, and then they didn't really come back to being cool, in my opinion, until like late 2000, so like 2007, when Super Treasure Hunt started, basically. Somewhere in there, I would say, is when they started getting cool again. But yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What's your favorite model here? And thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This will be in the vintage, older, secondhand haul section of my channel or playlist. So you can see more content with old stuff like this or weird stuff in that playlist. So I highly recommend you check it out. Just check out my playlist. There's it's fairly organized, right? Fairly. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a good day.